Hi everyone, it's Jasmine with Jazzy Crafts and Cards. Let me show you what we're making today. Today I have a fun Shamrock shaker card, and it says use Shamrock. And then when we open it up here, we've got a neat pot of gold on the inside. So that's what we're making today. Here's what we'll need. For stamping and coloring, I will be using Ranger Archival ink in jet black for coloring my pot of gold, which is a Canadian Maple Collections stamp. After I have that stamped, I'll be coloring it with the following Spectrum Noir colors. I'll have GG1, 2, and 3 to color the pot of gold. JG2 to color the shamrocks that are in that stamp. And then CT2 to color the gold itself. Okay. I will also be using some Wink of Stella, just clear Wink of Stella, to accent that gold once I've got it colored. Okay. As far as paper goes, we're going to need a regular A2 size card base, which is 5.5 by 4 1/4. I've cut it so that it will open up. Okay. Then I've got some Tim Holtz Craft Core Metallic Collection paper, and I just chose one sheet of the gold color paper there. We'll talk about the dies in a second. Then I've got some Tim Holtz Craft Core Nostalgic Collection coordinations, and I'm choosing 2 of the same color papers there. Also, if you have a Shamrock stamp or something similar, this happens to be a digital stamp that I got online. I'm not exactly sure where I got that. But this is something that I colored also with Spectrum Noir colors ahead of time, so I don't recall those exact colors. But if you have a stamp a Shamrock or something that you want to put in that middle portion of, excuse me, that's my phone, in that middle portion of the shaker card. So you can see these here are different, but they're both from the same stamp set, a digital stamp set that I had online. And they were just colored ahead of time. So if you have another image, maybe a rainbow or something similar, you could also use that. And then I have pre-written a sentiment that says use Shamrock, and then on just a scrap piece of white cardstock and gone ahead and banner cut one side of that. If you have a sentiment stamp that you'd rather use instead of your own handwriting, by all means use that. Okay, moving on to adhesives. We will need some foam squares. I've got both small and large size foam squares here in case I need both sizes. Then I've got some foam tape. I also have 2 sizes of this. I would normally just use this, but I think I'm going to run out, so I've got some of the larger size available as well. And then I'm going to use some Tombow 2-way glue. And of course my Scotch ATG. And for the shaker window, this piece of acetate here is just a piece of packaging from like a sticker set or something. I keep all of these in a big bag and I use them for shaker cards. So that's what that is. Then for the actual shaker materials, I've got a variety of sequins and beads. Oops. These are actually little diamonds, so those are fun. So that's what I'm going to be putting in the shaker card. I believe I got all of these from Dollar Tree. And okay, now to the dies. So you can see I've got 2 circle dies. These are stitched circle dies. I already die cut both of my pieces of colored cardstock that I'm going to use. This metallic cardstock, I taped my dies together using some washi tape and taped them down to my paper so that I could cut just a frame. Let's see if I can get it off of there now. So this is just a frame of that gold metallic cardstock. The rest of this we will not be using right now. However, that outer piece, this outer die, sorry, the largest die, after you cut your frame, you're going to want to separate that and use the largest one to die cut one of your pieces of colored cardstock. So you can see I've done that here too. Now it's a stitch die, and so that stitching is going to be on the circle, so this is something that you can save for another project. This won't have stitching on it, but it's just what I want anyway. Okay, so the other piece we're going to leave whole, and this we can set aside with the rest of that gold piece of paper. The only other thing that I don't have out that you will need is the white piece of cardstock for this inside where we're going to do that stamping on for our pot of gold there. So I've just layered that inside of that green. This helps keep this back piece nice and sturdy to hold up to the front, which is quite thick, you can see here. And it makes a nice place for you to write a message. Okay, let's zoom in and get started. All right, here's what we're going to start with, guys. I'm going to bring out that colored piece of cardstock I have that we have die cut the hole in the center. That's going to form the window for our shaker card. I'm going to turn that over to the back so that I'm seeing that craft color. And I am going to take my piece of acetate packaging material here, and I chose this piece because it fits really nicely on top. It's the same size as the piece of paper width. So I am going to cut this open and just cut a piece off. So I'm just going to cut down one of these seams here, and just kind of use my piece of paper. This doesn't have to be exact because we're not going to see it. So just kind of line it up where I want it and cut it just a little bit smaller than the card length because we don't want it to be seen. Then I'm going to open up. So this was folded here. I'm going to open it up. And again, I'm just going to kind of roughly lay this on top. And actually, you don't even have to do that. Just cut along the seam again. That will make it easier for now. So, again, doesn't have to be perfect. You're just trying to get a rough shape right now. The rest of that, I will keep this other piece that's about the same size here. And the rest of those scraps I will throw away. Okay. So now that we've got a piece of acetate that is roughly the size of our piece of paper, we are going to stick that down. That's going to be the first thing that we're going to do. For this, you could use a wet glue. I am going to use my ATG because I think that that works just fine for me. Alright, so that's good enough for me. Now, I'm going to get this piece of acetate here and lay it on. Doesn't have to be exact, like I said. Don't stress about it. Just stick it on so that it's covering the majority of that ATG tape or wet glue that you've set down. If any is coming out, you can just pick it off or wipe it off if it's wet glue. And you'll see that now it's attached. So now I've got the window on the front of my card. Also, if you've got some that you can see at the front of this window, right on along the circle, it's, I don't know if you can really tell, there's a little bit there that I can kind of see. I'm not worried about that either because that's where our frame is going to come in. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to take out the frame, which is the stitched circle die, well, both stitched circle dies that we use to cut the gold foil paper. So I'm going to turn that over, and this is where I do like to use my Tombow multi-glue because it's smaller. And I kind of want it to be pretty precise. So I'm going to apply this to my circle frame here. And you can kind of run your finger around it a little bit to make it spread out evenly. Okay. Now you will want to kind of wipe your fingers off before you touch it again because you don't want to get any of that glue on the window. Okay. So now I can take this and very carefully, it will fit right inside. So this is what we're left with. We've got our window, which you can see there, the acetate, with a gold frame around it on our green piece of paper. For now, I'm going to set that aside and kind of let that glue finish drying. I'm going to bring out my card base here and my Shamrock that I have colored and fussy cut out. And I'm going to decide if I want this to lay flat on my card base or if I want it popped up. On the card that I've pre-made, It's got some dimension, so you can see that those sequins and beads, they kind of can go behind the shamrock a little bit, and they get stuck on the shamrock when I lift it up. You can kind of see they're stuck on it. I like that because I don't like all of the beads to fall down to the bottom when I lift the card up. I like some of them to stick at the top. So I'm going to pop this up, but you for sure do not have to. I guess I will need to bring out my frame again really quick because I want to know where I need to position the shamrock. And you could do that before you put the window in there if it's easier for you. I've pretty much got it in a decent spot. I'm going to move it just a little bit here. Okay, so that's about where I'm going to want it in its final position. So I'm going to lift up this top piece and again set that aside. And I am going to pull out my foam squares. Like I said, I've got this really small size and then I've got the larger size. These are from Recollections, I believe. If you do not want the beads and things to go very far behind the shamrock, you can get away with just popping it up with 1 or 2 squares. If you kind of want it to be evenly popped up and not be able to be pushed down, I would recommend putting foam squares all the way around it, but make sure that you don't leave any holes for the beads to get stuck in once they're behind there. On this one, I don't think I need it that popped up, so I'm going to, I think, just put on 1 or 2 pop dots. I'm going to put one right up here on the top of this, and one kind of more towards the middle. And I know I just moved it. We'll put it back in a second. If I do it that way, anything that gets stuck should be able to get back out of there. See, there's just 2 on there, and it'll pop it up just enough so that if they get stuck, they could move back out. I actually think these are kind of going in, so I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more. I'm going to add 2 small ones, 1 to each of these sides over here. Okay, so that'll be plenty for me. Now I'm going to peel the backers off. And I'm going to take my window again, since I didn't do it this way to start with, since I put the window on before I positioned this. I'm going to just kind of hold this against the window where I want it, and then just kind of set this down on the card where it's going to go. And I think that will be good enough for me. Okay, so you can see that'll be in there pretty centered. All right. Now, you're thinking, well, that creates a bulge there, and that's not going to end up being flat. But that's where the foam tape's going to come in place. We're going to place foam tape all around this so that when this sticks up, it's higher than the dimension on the clover so that it will fit fine. Okay? Okay, so this is the next part we're going to do. We're going to add the foam tape. For that, I'm going to, you could add it to this piece, the white card base, or you can add it to the back of the window piece, which is what I'm going to do. It makes it easier to see what I'm doing, I feel like, and so that's why I'm going to do that this way today. I'm going to start with my thin foam tape for these, this part around the circle where it's thinner, and then I can use that thicker foam tape for the bottom here. Because I've got the shamrock popped up on here, I'm going to double layer the foam tape so that it's taller than the shamrock, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm just going to start with my foam tape here. And I really want this to go, to start with, kind of going around this circle. And I'm going to, leaving the inside circle, you can see that where that frame is, I'm leaving that little bit of space there. You could go all the way to the edge, but I really don't want the foam tape to be seen. So that's why I'm doing it this way. I want it to make sure that you don't see the foam tape. All right, so now we're going to fill in the circular area with the shaker materials that we want to use. I'm going to start with some of these little diamond pieces that I have. Some green seed beads. I really don't want a ton of green because the card's green, but a little green in there. And then I'm going to put my gold sequins that I've got. I want quite a few of those. Okay. So that looks good to me. I think those will shake nicely in there. You can kind of move it around. If you feel like it's going to need some more, put some more. Look at the underneath and see if it's going to come up to about the area where you want it to. If not, add some more. I think I might add maybe just a few more of these gold sequins. Okay, and that'll make me feel happy. Now, we're going to peel off all of these backers, and then we're going to set our clover on top upside down. Okay? Okay, once we've got all the backers off, like I said, we're going to turn our card base upside down and attach it. Because the card base is the same size, it will make it a little bit easier to get it on straight. Okay, once you feel like it's on straight, go ahead and push it down to adhere it, and you can turn it over and take a peek. You might have some foam tape that kind of peeks out the sides, and you can fix that by kind of pushing them in, or you can cut them off. Something I forgot to mention, on the inside, before you add the shaker materials, if you want to take like your powder tool for embossing, or your cornstarch bag, whatever you have, and run it along the inside of that foam tape, just along the edges here, so that your sequins and things won't stick to it. That can sometimes be helpful. So, the edges of mine aren't super pretty because I was having some tape issues. This one you can see I got the edges nice and straight. This one they're not. That's fine. It's whatever. So it's on there pretty straight. You can see the shaking, the shaker materials in there, how they kind of go behind the shamrock a little. And if I straighten it up, you can see what I mean about some of them sticking to where that adhesive was still sticky on the side of the foam tape. Overall, I think it's pretty cute. Let's go ahead and add our sentiment to the top, and then we'll finish the inside and be done. Okay, so like I said, I just hand wrote in there, use Shamrock, because I thought it was pretty cute. And because this is already so popped up, I'm not going to pop this up anymore. I'm just going to apply it with my ATG. And the inside is where we're going to put the stamped image. So I'm going to go ahead and get out our other layers of paper. Okay, I made a note here. I cut this green piece of paper, which was originally the same size as the card base, so it was 5.5 by 4 1/4. I cut it down to 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then I cut this piece of white cardstock down to 5 by 3 3/4, so that this will layer on top of there, and we can see that green, and then so that this green will have a white border around it in the card. Okay, I'm going to use this piece of paper that I wrote on. I'm just going to use it upside down. So we are going to stamp our image, and if you don't have a coordinating image, you can just leave it blank and write in it or put a sentiment inside. I have this. It was given to me by my grandma, so that's what I'm going to use. I think it's pretty cute. Like I said, I'm going to use Ranger Archival Jet Black to stamp it with, so I'm going to apply that. Alright, so there's our stamped image. Cute. Then I am going to color it in with my Spectrum Noir markers. Okay, I didn't do any fancy coloring. I added a tiny bit of shading to the pot, but other than that I pretty much just colored them in. So nothing really fancy there. So that is all I'm going to add to the inside of that. Okay. And then we're going to adhere it to the inside of the card. Alright. So there's the card we made. Nice and shaky. I really like using seed beads because they kind of add that sound of the shaker. When you use just sequins, they don't tend to have much sound. So use Shamrock and you open it up to a pot of gold and your message. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Again, this is Jasmine with Jazzy Crafts and Cards.